Hey everybody, and welcome back to Just Drones. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the different types of traffic patterns, left-hand traffic patterns, right-hand traffic patterns, and what that actually means for us as unmanned pilots. To get started, we're going to look at an example of Northwest Florida Beaches International Airport, or ECP. The reason why I chose this airport is because there's one single runway, so it's a really good example to show you the difference between left traffic patterns and right traffic patterns and the different parts of those traffic patterns. So to get started, I'm going to pull up the taxi diagram. On a taxi diagram, it's not only going to show you taxiways and the FBO and the terminal, it's also going to show you the runways and the direction of those runways. So as you can see here at ECP, we have one single runway, two different directions. So because of this, we have runway 16 and runway 34. Now, what do these numbers actually mean to us? Or what do they mean to manned pilots as well? So 34 and 16 are the directions the aircraft is going to be facing. So when a manned aircraft, let's say it lands on runway 34, when that aircraft is on final and it's coming into that runway, they're going to be facing 340 degrees around that number. If you can see here, it's calculated around 342 degrees, but they never put that specific number, they just round it. Same with runway 16, 162 degrees, but they're going to round it. So it's 16 and 34. So if they're coming from the opposite direction, they would be facing 160 degrees. Now, what do these degrees actually mean? So when you think of a compass, you think of north, east, south, and west. So north, east, south, and west. These are cardinal headings. North, east, south, and west. Cardinal headings. And these cardinal headings have degrees to them. So north would be 360 degrees. South, complete opposite, 180 degrees. East, 90. And west, 270. So these are your cardinal headings. And then, of course, you have degrees in between these. So when you have runway 34, when that plane lands, it will be facing 340 degrees. So almost a north heading, because north is 360. So the 360, 340 is in between 360 and 270, which is that west heading. So technically, when that airplane lands, it will be facing a northwest heading because it's in between a north heading and a west heading, so it's northwest. Same goes with runway 16. So we have a south heading, which is 180 degrees. And then we have an east heading, which is 90 degrees, or 090. So you have runway 16. Obviously, 160 degrees is in between a south and east heading. So that would make this heading a southeast heading. So also very close to a south heading. And if you haven't been able to tell yet, if you look at this, sorry about that, 160 degrees and 340 degrees. It's just the reciprocal. So 340 degrees, if you were to subtract 180 to that, so 340 minus 180, you get 160. So 160 degrees. So if you ever see one end of the runway and you don't know what the other runway number would be, just either add or subtract 180 degrees of that, and you'll get the reciprocating runway. So now that we know a little bit more about what these actual numbers mean for the runway directions, let's talk about traffic patterns. So there's a couple of Part 107 questions that you could possibly see on your own exam where it asks you about an aircraft entering a left downwind, a right base, something like that, and it wants to know where you are in relative position to that. So to get started, let's talk about the different traffic patterns. So there's two possible traffic patterns at airports. The standard pattern, which is a left pattern. And simply put, what a left pattern means is that when that airplane, so I'm going to draw my little airplane. Please don't critique my artistic skills too much. So when this airplane is flying and it enters into the traffic pattern, every turn it makes in that traffic pattern is going to be a left-hand turn. Kind of like NASCAR, all left turns, right? For most tracks. So every time it turns, it's not going to be a right turn, it's going to be a left turn. The opposite goes for right-handed patterns. So a right traffic pattern, RP, you're going to be dealing with right turns. So instead of turning left to get to the runway to land, the plane is now going to be making right turns. That's the only difference. Just think of the plane and the direction it will be turning to get to those runways. So now that we know the difference between a left pattern and a right pattern, which again, by the way, a left pattern is always standard. And it actually tells you on the sectional chart if it's going to be a right pattern. It will show the letters RP for a right pattern for a specific runway. It will show something like, let's say if runway 16 is right pattern. On the sectional, in the airport information, it would show RP 16. So that tells a man pilot if they're flying into Panama City, the traffic pattern there is going to be a right pattern for runway 16. Now, because this is a towered airport, the tower is actually going to direct you in which pattern they want you to enter into for the specific runways. So they could tell you to enter into a right downwind, a left downwind, right base, left base. Whatever they need you to enter into at this airport, they will tell you that. It's not up to you as the man pilot because it's a towered airport. But we're just using this one as an example because it's a single runway and they're pretty easy headings to figure out. So now that we know right and left patterns, let's talk about the pattern entries and all the different legs of a traffic pattern. So a standard traffic pattern, you have a few different legs. You have the downwind leg. You have the base leg. And you have the final leg. Now these are the legs where you would be entering to land at the runway. After that, you also deal with upwind leg, and you also deal with the crosswind leg. So let's first talk about the downwind leg. So we're going to use runway 34 as an example. So let me go ahead and clear these to kind of get some more room. All right, so let's say you are a man pilot, and let's say you are in this location near the airport. So you have gotten clearance from controlling agency, you've gotten clearance from ATC to fly next to the Panama City airport within their Class D airspace. So you've gone through all the procedures to get that, and you are legal to fly there. So you're just east of runway 34 and 16. Now, let's say you're listening to the radio and you're listening to Tower talk to man traffic coming into the airport. Let's say they tell this man pilot to enter into a left downwind for runway 34. And let's say they're coming from, let's just say, the west of the airport. So you've got a man pilot coming from the west of the airport to enter into a left downwind for runway 34. So what does this mean? So a left downwind is simply the leg where a pilot is putting themselves parallel to the runway. And so the way runways are figured out of where a man pilot's going to land is where the wind is coming from. So if you have wind that's coming from, let's say the METAR shows 340 at 10 knots. An aircraft always wants to land in a headwind. So if we have wind coming from 340 at 10 knots, now if you remember from a Part 107 METAR question video, it's always where the wind is coming from. So that tells me the wind is actually coming like this. So a direct heading of 340. So what does that mean for the man pilot? They're going to want to land on runway 34, right? Because they want to land into that headwind. Now, if it said it was coming from 160 at 10 knots, it's going to be the opposite. The pilot's going to line up to where they want to land on runway 16. But if our wind is showing runway 34, we want to land on runway 34 or anything close to that. It could be 320. It's not always going to be 340 at 10 knots. It could be a little bit off, could have a little bit of a crosswind landing as well. So again, let's place ourselves right here. That's the man pilot position. So we hear Tower tell the man pilot to enter a left downwind. So when that pilot enters the left downwind leg, they're going to be parallel with the runway. And they're going to be on this side of the runway for runway 34 because it's a left downwind. So as this pilot's on the left downwind leg, what does this mean? Well, if they keep going, they're going to be making left turns to get to runway 34. So here's the plane over here. Let's just say somewhere down here. They're going to be flying, and the nose of the plane is here, right? So the nose of the plane is coming down on the left downwind leg. Then they're going to turn on this leg, and then this leg to land on runway 34. So that means that when they land, they're going to be facing 340 degrees, or really close to that. They're actually going to be facing 342 degrees, but they always round these runway numbers to the nearest tenths. So if it's 342, they're just going to round it down to 340. You're never going to see runway 342 or anything like that. All right, going back to this question. So it says the man pilot's here. He's east of the airport. This plane is entered on a left downwind. So it's heading in this direction to runway 34 on the downwind leg. And that's why it's called the downwind leg. So we talked about the winds. So you have your headwind here. And this plane is going downwind. So the wind's coming down while this plane is also coming down. That's why it's called the downwind leg. And then we have the upwind leg, which we'll talk about very soon. All right, so it's coming down the downwind leg. And you might have a Part 107 question that asks, should you be concerned? Are you in this man pilot's way? Well, if they're entering a left downwind runway 34, and I'm a unmanned pilot, and I'm sitting here in this spot, do you think I really need to worry about this guy over here? No. If I don't have to worry about him because he is staying on this side of the runways and coming this way and then landing on 34. So this part, runway 34, is as far as he should go. He should line up on final for runway 34. So I'm nowhere near this man traffic, so I do not have to worry about it. Now, in another example, let's say we're in the same place. So manned pilot's here, or the unmanned pilot's here, and ATC now tells this manned pilot to enter into a right downwind for runway 34. Okay, a right downwind would be this side, right? Because he's going to be making right turns into runway 34. So he's on a right downwind. And I'm around here. I could be flying, in this general direction, just kind of low flight pattern. So do you think, as an unmanned pilot, that I need to be a little concerned with this traffic coming in? Of course I do. I need to give way to this traffic. Remember, as an unmanned pilot, you always give way to manned traffic or any other kind of aircraft traffic. So I'm going to probably make the great decision and land until this traffic gets out of my way, because this traffic is going to be around 1,000 feet above ground level. They're going to be around 1,000 feet. Now, if it's a bigger aircraft like turboprops, things like that, they're going to be at 1,500. Still, that's a little too close for comfort for me. I just want to land and let this aircraft come and do its thing and land on runway 34. Because as they are in the traffic pattern, they're going to continue and going lower as they turn base and final for runway 34. So that's the left downwind and the right downwind. Now let's talk about the next leg, the base leg. So the base leg is simply the leg where the pilot is turning from the downwind leg to now he's going this way. So if you think of just a box, so think of the letter L. That's your base leg. So that turn to where you're perpendicular with the runway. So this part of the turn where you're going from the downwind, now you're entering the base leg. So this part right here for runway 34, that's your base leg. So this leg would be a left base for runway 34. A right base would just be the total opposite. It'd be this way. But it's still that base leg. It's still lining up for runway 34. So that's the base leg. And then the final leg, that is simply when you are lined up with the runway. So you're lined up with runway 34. You've already turned left base and you've already been on the downwind leg. So you still go in this direction. So coming towards runway 34, then you're making a left base right here. And then you're turning from base to final right around here. And now you're lined up to land on runway 34. So with all that together, you have an aircraft, left downwind, left base, final, runway 34, and boom. They now have landed safely on the runway. And you as a manned pilot, because you knew what a left downwind was, what a left base was, and a final was, you know that you were nowhere near this traffic, and so you could continue flying. Now, I would also say, for safety reasons, don't fly directly over the runway as a plane is coming in to land, which when you go through the LANT system, it's going to show you in a blocked out area of where you're allowed to fly if you're flying in that controlled airspace anyways. So do not exit that blocked part of the airspace. Now the final couple legs, we have the upwind leg, which is very easy to figure out, and then the crosswind leg. These are very simple. Simply put, the upwind leg is when the aircraft is taking off. So let's say runway 34. It's taking off, it's going down this runway, and it's continuing. So as it's taking off and it's going down and continuing to climb out from the airport, from the runway itself, on runway 34 again, it is on the upwind leg. That is the upwind leg. That's simply when the plane is taking off and it's continuing straight past the runway. Now, when an aircraft is staying in the pattern, it's going to make and it depends on what tower says, but the standard pattern, again, if you're at an untowered airport, is left-hand traffic. So of course it's on the upwind leg, and then it's going to make a left-hand turn to enter in that left-hand standard traffic pattern, continue on the downwind leg, then the base, then the final come land back at runway 34. If it's doing pattern work, if they're practicing, coming in for landings, doing touch and goes. This leg here, where you turn from the upwind leg and you turn left to go towards the downwind leg, this leg is known as the crosswind leg. So if you hear a pilot say that they're left crosswind runway 34, that tells me that they just took off and now they got past the runway, got to their altitude that they needed, and now they're turning left. That's your left crosswind. So if I'm a manned pilot, and again, if I'm over here and I hear that a plane calls that they are turning left crosswind, am I anywhere near them if they're doing it for runway 34? No, I'm not. They're going opposite direction of me. And then they're going to continue on that left downwind leg, base leg, and then final for runway 34. And it's the same way with right-hand traffic. So if it's a right crosswind, they're simply going to be turning to the right once they exit the upwind leg instead of left. And then they're going to enter right-hand traffic patterns. So they're going to be on a right downwind, right base, and then right final for runway 34. And the same goes for runway 16. Nothing changes. It's just a different direction. It's going a southeast heading now. So if they enter a left downwind on this runway, instead of coming over here and they go this way, that would be a right downwind, right? Because this plane is going to be making right turns to land on 16. If it's left pattern for runway 16, they're going to be coming this way. They're going to enter at like a 45-degree angle, left downwind. That was a terrible 45-degree angle, left base, and then final for runway 16. So it's the same. It does not change. It's just different directions depending on the way the runways are lined up. So when you get Part 107 questions like this, read the question carefully. Make sure you read to make sure you know whether it's the left downwind or the right downwind, whether it's left pattern, right pattern. Always read the question fully, so that way you can figure out what it's actually asking for, and that way you can determine the right answer. So I hope this video was helpful for y'all today, guys. I'm going to continue uploading different things, weather, just like the traffic pattern questions. We're going to talk more about runways and where you are lined up as an unmanned pilot, and if you should be concerned depending on where the manned traffic is. I've got a lot more content coming out. If you like these videos, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I've been getting a lot of great comments about all these past videos that I've been uploading. Also, I have the link in the description below on my Etsy shop. You can go and purchase the airspace and regulation flashcards. You get that full bundle for only $5, and it's all the airspace and regulation knowledge you'll need to know to successfully pass that part of your Part 107 exam. And the weather flashcards will be coming soon as well. So again, guys, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching my videos, and have a great rest of the week. Have a good one, everybody.